I think that this album is a triumph, you know, because I've seen a lot of people saying like, yo, you sound like you can feel the happiness in the music. You can feel the joy radiating, you know, every note, every verse, you know?
Yeah.
There's no Kid Cudi album that sounds like this. Can you imagine? 11 albums, and I was able to still do something new.
I don't take new music for granted. The honesty, the energy, and the spirit required to release a new body of work, it can get lost in the thrash of anticipation and opinion, but when all of that fades, what's left is the work, the art. Kid Cudi knows this. That's why after a short-lived retirement, we're back together, having another conversation. A re-energized Cudi with a bright future and his eyes wide open, taking in a beautiful view.
You know, I feel like all these years I've kind of been exploring as an artist, and I've been on a quest, you know, a quest to acquire my powers to be able to compete one day. And, you know, that was one of the goals I had going into this. It's like, no, I'm not gonna just make my just offbeat different shit and just be in my own lane. Like, no, I'm trying to compete. You know, I want to have the best album of the year. You know what I mean? I want people to arguably have the debate about my shit being one of the best albums of the year. You know, I didn't want to have any doubts. I wanted to make something that was completely undeniable.
You know, when you told me a couple of years back that you were going to walk away from music for a while, it felt dramatic to me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it felt dramatic to you, but were you waiting for that desire to compete? Is that part of the reason why you wanted to stop? Was because you weren't feeling that competitive edge at that moment?
Yeah, I was kind of like out of it. You know, I was just in this place where I was thinking about my future, and it just didn't seem like, I don't know. This doesn't seem like there was really an appetite for my music in the ways that it used to be. Finally got through that whole, you know, retirement thing, because I talked to my friend Brian. The world knows him as KAWS. But he was like, hey man, I don't mean to get in your business, but I think you should rethink this retirement thing. I think you could be around for a long time. And, you know, to see Brian kind of come to me real like that, you know, and he's never approached me about my music or what I should do with my music ever before. So it hit me in a different way, as if it was like, it could have been Dot or Chip or Dennis. It was different. And literally after that message, I was like, shit, man. He's right. I'm just getting warm.
Yeah.
You know? Like I'm just getting warm. I mean, 15 years is a long time to be doing anything, but like, it's just the beginning.
You know, every album you make though has been so honest and conceptual, and you don't just make a bunch of tracks, you know, you make albums and you make them from a really deep place, and it obviously takes a lot out of you. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some exhaustion involved there. Like, do I really want to go ahead and take on something else's kind of, and plus you have all these other things you do as well, from producing things and directing things and creating things, and you're all in on everything.
Right.
So it makes sense that this album is 20 songs, just banger after banger, and it doesn't feel conceptually heavy to me, in the sense that maybe there's a concept there, but in the sense that it's like, how am I gonna finish the story?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I was really at a place where I had a goal. You know, I was like, okay, I've done all these different types of albums. I've touched on all different types of spaces, creatively, sonically. What is the one thing that I haven't accomplished? And I was still in this place trying to figure out what that album would sound like. And I was in Paris. I just finished my European run of tour, and I go to see Kendrick. And this motherfucker, it blew my fucking mind. I'm sitting there, I'm watching the crowd reaction from the beginning of the show to the end of the show. People were in it, party mode, singing every fucking word. Not saying this doesn't happen at my shows, because it does. But all the way through, like, I don't have that experience. You know what I mean? And it's like, I had this moment where I was like, you know what? This is the reaction I want. I want people to feel good and it to be a joyous occasion when I'm performing. So I took that, the inspiration from Kendrick's show, and Kendrick has always been my top 3 artists in the world. You know, like I'm actually so proud of the record that we have. We got one record, Solo Dolo Part 2. You know what I mean? So proud of it. So I took that inspiration, got to the studio and said, let's fucking get to work. We need to make something with some energy. I'm happy, I'm in a better place in my life. I've never made an album in this type of mode before. Let's see what comes out of that. So the album was truly designed for arenas, for the live show.
Oh, you can hear it sonically, you can hear the dynamic in it. It's like, every song feels like it could be the set opener, almost.
Yeah. I'm gonna have a hard time figuring out that set list. But often I have these dreams, it's just such a good intro song.
It's so good.
You know what I mean? It's so good. And like, I could just see me just standing there and it comes on in the white light and I'm just like standing there.
It's got the false intro with the drums, but then disappearing. The whole thing feels like, is it happening? Is it not happening?
Yeah, man.
I'm so happy to hear you're in a great place, first and foremost. The music reflects that. The view reflects that. This whole space feels very serene. Most artists introduce themselves to the world. If anyone listens, you thrash around for a while and quite a long time until you can find a way out to a place like this, and then you get to collect your thoughts and take stock. Is that how it felt when you found this place?
Well, the first 8 years I was chilling in Los Feliz. And I knew that house wasn't gonna be my forever home. And I was just renting for a while and I just didn't know if I wanted to make LA home base permanently.
Yeah.
You know, I thought maybe I would, I don't know where else I would have been, but you know, I just didn't know for sure. And then I got to this place and shortly after our interview in 2020, where I was like, I kind of want to finally make this home base and like get my forever home.
Put your art up.
Yeah, you know, and you know, then I found this place and it was perfect because, you know, it was in the cut, it's quiet, and this view was amazing. You know what I mean? It's priceless. It's like, you know, I got a good price on the crib and, you know, I just needed something out the way, something where I could just like come outside and just be at peace and get away from the noise. I think I did a lot of my albums in the house. I did Insano in the house.
Yeah.
And also, like, Insano took me 3 weeks to make.
All 20 songs?
Yeah.
No, wait, there must be more than 20.
Well, there's more.
Did you just say there's 40?
Yeah, it's like, there's more than 40.
In 3 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it feel like when you're on a wave and everyone that breaks, you know you can ride it?
It was kind of like one of these things where I had about a collection of songs in 2020 before I saw the Kendrick show, right?
Yep.
And I just like kind of got rid of all of them. You know? I was like, I gotta start over.
Was the record even recognizable compared to Insano, or was it a completely different journey?
it was on the way to Insano vibes, but it wasn't it yet.
You needed that visceral experience of seeing a crowd react to that. Yeah.
I needed that inspiration. Every album, you gotta have something to propel you forward, you know what I mean? And Insano, you know, was Kendrick's live show, for sure. Yeah.
I love that you can be so honest as to have such a direct relationship with someone else's show in the modern era. You know, the amount of times...
Well, I don't go to many shows, and that was like the first one I've been to where I could be like, oh, this is great, I can not be performing, I can just stand here as a fan and see somebody that I like. You know what I mean? See somebody's show that I can like really get into and a great performer and it was nice, man. It was having that experience was just the best. I felt like I have to get to more shows and then I eventually went to Beyonce's show, which blew my fucking mind. You know what I mean?
Unbelievable.
Like, so, you know, now I have this thing where I'm like, all right, now I gotta get to more shows. I gotta see Tame Impala again live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw Coldplay live.
Yeah, again, what a show. In a way, looking back on it now in 2022, that whole experience, and like, I didn't quite know how to react because you told me on our show that you were retiring, and I was like, what do I do with this information?
How do I pivot?
Well, how do I pivot, right? Because obviously, like, thanks for taking the opportunity to share that message to your fans through us. That's cool. That's in keeping with what we've tried to build together as a place for honesty. But I'm bummed out. I'm like, what the fuck you mean you're retiring? Like, shit. Like, looking back on it now, didn't you just need a break from being Kid Cudi for just a second, to go to live shows, to just break the expectation for a second?
Yeah, I guess yeah, because I'll tell you what, if there was like the expectation of like, all right, where's your next album? Where is it coming?
And we're insatiable fans, as in us. We have access to you now through social media too, so it's like,
and
hey,
I'm connecting with kids on Twitter.
Where are you?
Yeah, you know, so like I hear kids saying they want music. I hear this every day. I see it on Twitter, you know. So like, it was really, you know, you just have to get to that place of, it's something I can't explain, you know. It's something that clicks in the mind where it's like, oh, now it's time, you know. It's like I could be working on music for like 3 months. In the 4th month, it's like, I'll make a song and I'm like, oh shit, now we have the album.
Yeah.
Now we start the album.
Yeah.
Bases everything off this, and let's just build this.
So what was that song this time? Do you remember?
I had 7, but I didn't have Wayne on it. I had that for a while. And I had Portia Topless, I Let Your Way Baby. These were all done in those 3 weeks.
So
like
you and Benny X were already working.
Benny was sending me shit left and right, and every producer on that album, I was getting beats from them left and right. They were all, because it was like people that fuck with me, you know what I mean? Like kids that grew up listening to me, you know what I'm saying? I really understood the music and honored me as an artist and were able to get in my mind and help me craft something special. It's like this album sounds super unique because I was able to tap into a lot of different producers and a lot of very talented producers that were able to come bring me something different that I ever had.
It must be really nice to get pieces of music, beats from Benny X, and hear the music that he's been waiting his whole life as a music fan to make with you. It must be the closest thing to almost hearing yourself for the first time without necessarily making the music, you know what I mean? Because it's someone's version of you that's inspired them.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's like the full circle moment is beautiful. He came up listening to me and being inspired by me, and now he's inspiring me to write these bars and make these amazing songs. Like I Let Your Way Baby is just...
That's such a weird song because no one expects that ace of bass to come in. And then but as soon as the synthetic flute line comes in, it sounds like a Cudi melody line to me.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that you would have written instinctively on any of the Moon albums or anything like do-do-do-do-do. It's like...
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I mean, well, Ace of Base, man. Ace of Base I've been a fan of since I was a kid. I remember in like 1st grade in gym class, my gym teacher used to put on Ace of Base and we would do aerobics.
That's so crazy.
To Ace of Base. And that was ingrained in my mind and in my youth.
You know, one of the 4 horsemen just mounted. There's like 4 unique keys that unlock the apocalypse. Kid Cudi being a lifelong fan of Ace of Base is like, what? See you guys when the other 3 get unlocked.
Man, I have a weird palette of things that inspire me.
It makes sense. Like I say, when you hear the synth line, it's like, shit, has Cudi been ripping off Ace of Base for the last...
But there's gonna be another song on the deluxe. That's another one of my favorite songs. Actually, it's my most favorite song ever. There's 2 songs that are my favorite songs in the world.
Right.
I'm not gonna give you the one that the song is sampled on. I'm just gonna wait for that to come out and
Sure.
we'll talk.
Sure.
Right? But Mind Playing Tricks on Me by the Ghetto Boys is my favorite song ever. And it inspired me to make Day and Night. A lot of people know this. I talked about this early on in my career. But definitely those 2 jams.
It was a game changer. I mean, I was too young and too naive really at the time to understand beyond the stories being told. I was instantly drawn into the trauma and the weight of what Ghetto Boys was saying through the stories. But I didn't quite connect at the time to the fact that really it's about mental health. It's the long-term trauma of it. It's not just about the drama that's going on in real life. It's the trauma that continues after the fact. I think it's a game changer.
For me, this taught me how to create music. Hearing Ghetto Boys showed me the way. And the honesty in that record is what propelled me to be true about myself and my music.
Yeah, it makes sense. Then
You know
Day
what
and
I mean?
Night comes out and all of a sudden we're all saying the same thing about you.
Well, Day and Night was my version of when I'm
Yeah.
playing tricks. I was trying to do my version, my smoker, chill, anthem, laid back joint. And
About trauma.
You know, so that I got one, you know?
Yeah, you got the one.
Yeah, the one. But
You got the one out the gate.
yeah.
What's really cool as well is hearing you reference, because it's a rap album in a very sort of modern and very direct, dynamic way. Hearing references on there, you know, Camp Low, hearing you shout out Camp Low was like a moment, because I'm like, one of the most underrated rap albums of all time.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Saturday Night is crazy. I mean, that's
Yeah,
start to
man.
finish amazing.
I mean, like, I like to like show my age in my music. Cause I want motherfuckers to know what time it is. I never want people to be like, oh man, he trying to act young, or he on some other shit. It's like, look man, like whether it's like comedies that I grew up on
Yeah.
or like anything like that, you know, I like to, cause there's a lot of people from our era that are even kids that are like early 30s, you know, late 20s that came up on the shit that I grew up on and you know, got a chance to experience a lot of that shit, a lot of that pop culture stuff and you know, I just think it's fun, man. I just think it's fun to just, you know, throw a reference or two. That's what I do with these samples,
Yeah.
you know? Like, that's how I can't wait for people to hear this.
Stop teasing it if
this
you can't talk about it. You're killing me right now.
we gotta tease it, we gotta tease it.
Before we go inside, man, you're about to turn 40, bro.
Yeah.
39.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful milestone. Congratulations.
thank you.
You're nearly there.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful thing.
Didn't know we'd get here, but we're here.
Yeah, you excited about it? You excited about where you are in terms of creativity and this kind of timeless, youthful energy that gets put into creativity, you know, mixed with the maturity of reaching milestones?
Yeah, man, I feel great. It's like, you know, most people my age are afraid to tell their age, but I have found from experience that time gives me wisdom and growth and maturity. And when I think about my 20s, I would not want to live that over again. I would never want to go through that, you know? And based on my experience, the older I've gotten, the better my life has.
It's
You
all
know?
good. I mean, I just turned 50. It was
Yeah.
a relief.
Wow.
It was great.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, I'm not,
You don't have to leave anything, but well, you might have to leave that behind. Because the knees have a mind of their own.
yeah. But I mean, I don't know, man. I just feel really good about being where I'm at. Being 40, I didn't even know I would get here, you know? I'm just, I feel really blessed, man. It's kind of crazy to know that I went through that hell. I didn't see any way out of it at that time. You know, I didn't think, it was hard for me to imagine anything good in my life happening. You know, outside of the music, you know, I was just a tortured spirit, and people were feeding off of my pain, and I wasn't enjoying it really. You know, I was very tortured, and I don't think I was able to rise to the occasion of being, you know, a role model, a hero to these kids. And when I started off, I had very honest ambitions. You know, I just wanted to help people, you know, just wanted to put something out that people groove to, smoke to, you know. But things kind of got out of hand and, you know, got a little crazy. But it's, to be in 2024 right now, all these years later, all the things I've accomplished, standing here talking to you, this wonderful house, you know what I mean? I worked really hard for this shit. You know what's crazy, man? I want to buy a crib in Cleveland somewhere and just have like a spot, like in the cut.
You're being drawn back?
I've always wanted to buy some place in Ohio. So like I don't know, there's some places in Cleveland, but I don't know, like I always want to have some type of like place there, you know, like my mom is there still, so the house I grew up in, she's still there, and she doesn't want to move. She wants to stay right there. I've been trying to get her to move for over a decade. She doesn't want to move. It's something about being home. Just like if I'm going to the gas station and I'm paying for my gas and people are like, oh shit, Kid Cudi. Like, love your music, man. Welcome home.
It's the only place in the world where those words "welcome home" actually mean anything.
Yeah,
right.
It's crazy, man. And it's like that in New York too, because I came up there and I spent some time there. So my New York love is equivalent to my Cleveland love. People
Yeah,
see
but
me
New
in
York's a little different. They're like, hey, Kid Cudi, get the fuck out of my way. I'm trying to come in.
No, they're very polite to me in New York.
I bet.
They're very polite.
I bet.
But it's a beautiful thing, man. It's like to see that, to get that love, you know. It's like
because you're accepting it now. That's the difference.
Yeah, so
You're accepting it now.
I was fighting it before.
Yeah.
You know, I was not trying to. You know, trying to shy away from it. Nah. And I was also young, man. Like 24 is young still. Like people look at that as like, oh, you're 24, you're grown. It's like, no, you're very much still a kid. And you're thrown out in the world for the first time. And at that time, I thought everybody was good. I thought there was no evil in the world that I could see, you know, and you know, I learned pretty quickly, you know. It's just the darkness took over me, and you know, I spiraled and fell into something.
Well, it's hard, dude. It's hard because, you know, you gave everyone so much music for us to be able to connect to our darkness, our experiences.
Yeah.
We feel less alone. We look to you for that, and then that's your identity. You're Cudi, the healer. You go through it so we don't have to. Am I getting it? Is that kind of how it felt?
Well, yeah, but for a while it was like that, right? Up until Man on the Moon 3, it was like that, right? But INSANO was the reboot.
Yeah, it's yours.
It's the reboot, right? It's like old TV show that you used to watch on a new channel, bigger budget, same producers, but just different, better writers. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Look at this. Wow. Dude, so KAWS is a real homie, huh?
Yeah. Well, he didn't help me get these. I had to do this on my own.
Yeah, but the fact that he knows you have them.
I support my friends, man. Murakami, support my friends.
Yeah, the art's amazing. The art's amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks for this.
Yeah, no problem.
I'm excited.
Yeah, he was like, man, I knew you saw it. I was like, I have to give him a vinyl. I saw him this morning. I was like, I'm gonna give that to him. But you gotta make sure you take the plastic off. I wanna sign it for you, give you a nice little message.
Thank you, man, I appreciate that.
You know?
You know, I love collecting vinyl. I love that balance between where I work and my passion for how it's changing, and I love the accessibility to music and the fact we move fast and it feels very direct to fan, and there's a lot of great things about today.
Yeah.
But I love holding the art. I love the tangibility of this.
And it just like, it looks like a work of art.
It does.
You have literally like a KAWS painting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In your house. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And what a house, man. I mean, it's great seeing so much art in here. I can see where you invest and where you like to spend your income and your hard-earned money. And
A lot of toys.
are there toys? I mean, yeah, but it's also like, I mean, yeah, okay, there's a few toys. There's a few arcade games, classic arcade games. There's a couple of like some pretty sort of high-tech cross bikes going on around the place. But there's a lot of great art.
Yeah.
There's a lot of great art. What was the first piece of art that felt like a real investment for you?
This Murakami statue that I have in the foyer when
Yeah,
you
it's amazing.
come into the house. That was really monumental because it was a really big buy and the most money I've ever spent on a piece of art. But it was really dope because like I hit Murakami personally and I was like, yo, I want your art in my house. But yeah, like I'm just kind of little by little trying to add to my collection and just like build up a little art studio in the house, you know?
You invested wisely in your passions.
Thank you.
And you do, and you share them. I mean, like you said, it's not just about, you find something, you like it, you invest in it, you're drawn to the person who made it because creative spirits are aligned.
Right.
You get to know them, they become friends, and then they create a piece of art for a brand new album that feels like a new beginning. I mean, it sounds simple, but it's a beautiful journey. That's a life in servitude to creativity, right? That's what it gets you.
Yeah, my relationship with Brian goes back to 2009. I met him very early in my career. I remember we hung out and he just gave me a bunch of original fake clothes because me and him were like the same size. She just gave me like a bunch of hoodies and all this cool shit, stickers, and yeah, he's just always been a supporter, always been a homie. And I reached out and told him, I was like, man, I need something for this album. I want to know if you have just anything with color and something that feels fun.
Vibrant.
And vibrant, right. And he submitted a couple, and the second one he submitted I'm actually using for the deluxe cover.
Amazing.
But they're all in the same collection of paintings. Yeah, this cover just like spoke to me. The colors, this kind of like the earth just shattering. It just felt like that was what INSANO was, like that it totally depicts the energy of the album,
Yeah, you've always had a palette with your albums. There's always been a sense of it doesn't just end in the studio. It's got to feel like a 360-degree experience.
Yeah.
It's feel tactile. I have to feel like I'm entering into something. This one definitely has a sense of celebration to it. The album starts in celebration.
Yeah.
DJ Drama ushers in this new era. The idea.
Shout out to Drama, man.
I mean, what a voice!
Yo,
what an icon.
When I was working on this, I was like, I want this to feel like an event.
Yeah.
And I finished the album and I was listening to it. I was like, something's missing. Then it hit me. I was like, Drama. And I was like, man, I don't know if he gonna do it. And then I text him. I hit him up on DM, and he was on board immediately. I feel like we put him on a nice amount of songs to kind of space it out and make it feel like he's just kind of hosting the night.
Continuity's perfect, and he says the things because there's a lot of words on this record and you're moving fast and there's a lot of different sentiments that flow through these songs, but he's able to continue to that point, the idea of this being like a sense of freedom, a sense of ownership as well about who you have been, and embracing the love and embracing the legacy. I hear that on the record.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of celebration of life on this album. I mean, I think the whole album is a celebration of life. Even the songs that have kind of like a more aggressive tone, like Keep Bouncing, is still a celebratory record. I genuinely wanted to make an album full of bangers, undeniable bangers.
Do you think that's been something that even through all of the influence and inspiration that you've shared through your music and the where you've traveled creatively, that was missing for you was this sense of like, you grew up a rap fan, you were, amongst everything else, are as much a rap artist as you are whatever else anyone wants to genreify you as.
Right.
That idea of like, okay, what happens when I just dedicate myself and make what is effectively a rap album? I mean, there's a few songs toward the end that kind of show us, once again, where you can go and where you like to go.
Right.
But this is a hard album.
Yeah, I think that was the goal. Like, I wanted to be in those conversations when it came to like who dropped the best album of 2024, I think I never had those goals before, I was just kind of like just making my own wavy shit. I think Man on the Moon 3 was when I really started to want to compete, and that's why that album sounded the way it sounded. And that's why people embraced it, because it was like, okay, I'm going to kind of make something that fits in this era of music, but still make it my own. Like do my Cudi shit. Take this, what's happening, and just do my magic. That's what this was. It was like, all right, man, I want to make a rap album that's not heavily drug-riddled and not heavily like filled with like depression and darkness and shit like that, but make something that people are gonna wanna put on when they're getting ready in the morning or getting ready for the club or having a get together and they just need some music for the get together, so they just put on an album and let it play out. Like, you know, that was the goal. I've never had that goal ever in any other album I've ever made. Like this one was like, I want this to be a community album. I want like everyone to be on board. Like I wanted a lot of people that might not have been fans of my music like that, might have liked a song or two. I wanted them to be like, oh, this is the one he made for me, you know?
Yeah, around that time, around Man on the Moon 3, I feel like every single conversation I had with anyone through the modern lexicon of music would cite you as an influence.
Yeah.
And it was a period in time where it just dropped and it was like Cudi. I never thought about this until now. You talk about getting competitive and wanting to kind of move beyond that. Is there such a thing as the idea of being an influence to people can feel heavy? Like I'm more than just an influence on your music. In the sentiment of that statement, I'm so influenced by Cudi, it's like, what did that term mean, you know, when it became so omnipresent?
Well, man, it for me, it meant a lot, because that's the goal, right? You want to inspire people, to the next generation, to continue on and push the culture forward, push the sound forward. You know, that's what it's all about for me. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. You know, it doesn't feel too heavy of a burden. You know, I signed up for this. This is what it is. You know, I've fully embraced the fact that in millions of people's minds around the world, I'm their hero. You know, I'm their guide in the darkness to the light. And I take the title as a hero very seriously. I move in my life in a way where I like to connect with the fans and I like to show them that I'm a human being. You know, I know up on stage, it's like you see the big superstars and you see the lights and it's all the theatrics and shit. But when I'm off that stage and when I'm just walking from my car into the building, I'm Scott. I'm not, you know, anything but just a man from Cleveland, Ohio that just so happens to work really hard and does extraordinary things. And I've always wanted to be a man of the people, always. Mm-hmm. And that's just the Midwest Cleveland boy, Ohio boy in me. Like, you know, like I'm always gonna be, no matter what happens, no matter how high up I get, I'm still gonna be, you know, a man of the people.
It can go the other way. And we've seen people that we know personally and friends of ours and artists that we admire lose touch with that.
Yeah.
You've seen that?
Yeah. I mean, I think the way I started, I had good intentions. When I first got in the game, I imagined my career, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be like Mos Def famous, you know. I'm gonna have a couple cool albums and do some movies on the side, and I'll be well respected by my peers. And like, you know, like that's what I thought the extent of it was, you know. And I was like, I can still get by. Most of them probably doesn't have a problem going to the mall or going to the movies, you know what I'm saying? But like, you know, I was like, he probably gets by, you know. And I did not imagine what happened to me, you know, and especially how quick it happened. It was woof, you know. Like if you think about it, I worked at the Babe store in 2008, that summer, towards the end of that year. And then 2009, my debut album came out. Like just a year before, I was working a 9 to 5.
In New York?
Yeah, at the Babe store, just like out here.
Anyone ever come through?
To the Babe store?
Yeah.
Man, Kirk Franklin came through one time and I helped him out with some clothes. Kirk Franklin, you remember me, man? Kirk Franklin is the freshest dude, man. He's so fresh. So when he came in, I was like, yo, Kirk Franklin's in the Babe store, like shopping. He was buying mad shit. Like I was like running down, getting them new shoes. He was like, yo, what you think about this with this? I was like, oh yeah, man, this is dope. You can wear this with this. This is a dope fit right here. Blah, blah, blah. I was hooking them up, setting them up with fits, all sorts of shit. But like, you know, I also had like this phobia that rappers would come into the store and like see me working there and then have beef with me later and bring up the fact like, nigga, you sold me clothes. So like, I would always like hide in the stock room.
Who did you hide from?
So like, and this is funny, but we're laughing about this, right? Lupe Fiasco came to the store one day. He was in the store, I was in the back, and they was like, yo, Lupe's here. I was like, oh shit. Stayed down the stairs, waited till he left. And he was like, yo, what you down here for? And I explained it to my dude, same way I explained it to you. I was like, yo, bro, if I get famous one day, right? I don't ever want this nigga saying like, yo, you sold me clothes, you my son. You know what I'm saying? We can't have that. Like, this was my explanation. And yo, bro, when you think about it, he hates me to this day. He hates me. So it's like I was right. I was on to something. I sensed something in the universe, you know? So this is like my plan at that time, you know? I was like totally hyper aware that something was gonna happen for me. And, you know, I was just like, fuck this, I can't have nobody making no diss record. Like, yeah, you rang me up, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
There are some great people on this record that you've chosen to work with, obviously. Like, you set the bar very high, as you should. And I want to start with Travis, because there's twin energy there for me when I hear you two on the same record. You feel that?
Yeah. We definitely have this kind of like chemistry that's just super electric, you know. And I have that with only a few artists.
Who else do you feel that with?
I think me and Rocky really do well together.
Very much so.
As well. And Chip the Ripper, who is a really good friend and been a frequent collaborator for years. You know, me and him have crazy chemistry. And of course, me and Ye have crazy chemistry, you know, but it's like there's new people that I'm working with, like Yachty, of course, who I've learned that we have crazy chemistry on record as well. You know what I mean? And we're there's something going on with me and Yachty.
Something tangible?
Yeah.
As in you're working on something?
Yeah, like just more music between me and him. We're trying to figure something out. Every so often I'll work with somebody and be like, oh my God. Like, he's like me. He has powers. Yachty got powers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He does.
And like, when we were sitting there, we must have banged out like 3-4 songs. And so there's a little bit more Yachty on the deluxe, and he sounds amazing.
He's so versatile. I mean, he's jumped on a Faye Webster record, which is amazing.
His range is crazy. It reminds me like what I hoped for the next generation. Like, it reminds me of like the type of shit I was on when I was younger, just trying to like explore and just be different and not have people knowing my next move.
It can be lonely though, and I'm sure Yachty would tell you that there were times in the beginning, and until he found his artistic center, the people that wanted to be with him and work with him, who recognized him. It's tough. Being misunderstood.
Yeah.
No matter whether it's 2007 or 2008 or 2024, it's a road. Like, you've got to be committed.
Yeah, and he was true to himself.
Yeah.
You know, and he worked on his craft.
He took some real shit for it too.
Yeah, got better over time, and you know, he's really fucking dope, and the chemistry is there. You know, it was just working with him on them songs. It was just like instant magic. So like we're probably gonna lean more into that. And,
amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you brought up the undeniable chemistry of you and Ye. When we spoke in 2020, the relationship was very different. We spent quite a lot of time talking about Kids See Ghosts. You know how I feel about that project.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. And you know, you told us some great stories about the wonderful experiences there and also the challenges of creating in that environment. How challenging is it, you know, when people hold a relationship that isn't personal to us, we live vicariously through it, through the art and through the music, when you have to adjust the boundaries of that relationship in front of the world. You can't just have a moment where you say, I don't want to communicate with this person anymore. It becomes very public facing. What prompts it to become public facing? How does it become something you feel the need to share, to say, I'm breaking ties with this person right now?
It's kind of, you see it, right? It's usually one person does something where the other one has to defend themselves, you know? But usually you like to keep these things private, you know, but sometimes it can come out, you know.
Is it challenging being in a creative environment with someone that you feel is developing views that are opposed to yours? And is there a line in the creative relationship where you can't work with someone anymore?
I think in my situation it's a little bit more complicated. Me personally, I just pray on it and walk in the light. And like the new Scott is not angry at anyone. The new Scott doesn't have beef with anyone, you know, and I just try to like focus on that. Like, you know, any past thing I ever had, you know, sometimes it's been, you know, I might fall out with somebody and never talk to them ever again. And then sometimes, you know, I'll fall out with somebody and might not talk for a couple years, and then we reconnect and it's squashed and it's all good, you know. So it depends, you know. It's like friendships, you know, but really it's beyond friendship. It's about when it's like brotherly, sisterly shit, you know, family shit. It's just a little bit more complicated, you know.
And you feel that with him? You feel that brotherly thing that
yeah,
through thick and thin?
Yeah, definitely. And siblings hurt you the most, you know. So you go through things, but family is always there. You know, you don't give up on family. And I think, you know, in the thick of it, when it was going down, I wanted to walk away. I wanted to give up. But in thinking about it, the past couple years, it's like, you know, this is someone who is my brother, ultimately, who came into my life and championed me and did things for me that nobody else did for me early on in my career. You know, I mean, people don't even know that Kanye paid for the first Day and Night video when I didn't have a deal. Just was like, he needs a video, so I'm gonna pay for it. Guy saw me to shoot it, like saw me, the illest first director, like didn't know me, was sure just doing a favor, you know, and like, you know, so shit like that, you know, like, it's like I had this moment to kind of think about the past and the journey that I've had with this person. And, you know, I just, I know that in his soul, there is a good man there, because I've seen it. And, you know, you don't give up on people, you know? He's learning and he's growing. He knows he made some mistakes, and, you know, I think that that's the beauty of it. This is a beautiful thing. It's like he knows he's been on one hell of a ride. And he knows he's said some things that you might not be able to come back from in a lot of realms, in a lot of spaces from certain people, you know. But you know, we grow, and I think I pray for him, and that's my brother, and you know, the reason why we became cool again is because he apologized to me, and it was sincere. I was just like, wow, Kanye does not apologize to anybody. He doesn't say sorry to anyone. And, you know, that's my brother, man. I know he loves me, and there's just nothing like Kanye and Cudi, you know? We like the duo that everybody loves to see, you know?
The chemistry, as you said, is undeniable.
Yeah.
It is. It's just
beyond the music.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. It goes beyond notes and melody and tempo and words. It's something very magic about that.
Yeah.
There's a song on the album called X and Cud.
Mm.
There was a very brief moment in time, all too brief, where this young artist, right, XXXTentacion, came out, and a lot of his story and a lot of what had been told in regards to who he had been throughout his life and some of the decisions he'd made was very hard to read and hard to hear about. He's no longer here to answer to any of that.
Yeah.
So the music exists now, and it's powerful music.
Yeah.
And hearing his voice on the song is, it's eerie, it's intense.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how that song got made?
Well, it was really like one of these things where I've heard this version of a song that X had did on one of my songs on Speed and Build to Heaven. And I tweeted out, like, is this real? And I ended up connecting with John Cunningham, who worked very closely with X. And he met up with me, came to the studio, we talked a little bit. He played me the joint. It's fucking amazing. And at some point we have to give it out. I want them to have it. Like I don't even want it. I just want to make sure that they have what they need. I'll clear it, whatever they gotta do. But I didn't want to ask them for a verse. You know, I think that's weird. You know what I mean? So I was like, man, maybe there's something that, you know, he's done that I could probably flip. And I couldn't really find nothing except for, you know, Orlando, because it had no drums. And it was hitting me out of all the songs that I heard. Just like, I was like, if this is like not calling me to like the Cudi vibes, like this is just speaking to me, right? And I hit up John, I got the pieces to the session, got the vocals, and we were like, yo, let's just produce it up and make it brand new. You know, I was like, man, this is like a gift. It was like there, it was ready to be like manipulated. It had no drums, it was really bare, it was there. So I took that as a sign from the heavens, you know, and went to the studio and just kind of conjured up something and pieced together parts. And I loved his cadence and his melodies on the verse. So I thought it would be cool for fans to see me kind of like be inspired by him and do his vibe, you know what I mean? And be in his space for a little bit. And then I wanted to just have the second half be like, you know, this is the uplifting part. You know, this is where we're at right now, the light, the love. You know what I mean? We came from the darkness, but like, you know, Willie Cower, Never Ever, Cleveland City, Born a Grinder, you know? Because it's like, X is just a reflection from my younger days to me. You know what I mean? I see a young man that's hurting. I was hurting. You know? I was hurting. And this song, I felt his pain. And you know, I wanted to, even though it's a verse that's been out before, I saw some people complaining about that, like it's whatever, but you know, it was like a remix, my way of just kind of like showing love and giving people an idea of what a X and Cudi feature would sound like, you know?
Yeah, we spoke a little bit outside about coming through the other side of what's been a period in your life, a very creative, very fruitful period in your life, but you had to go to some very painful places in order to create the art, and that, you know, you've come through the other side of that. And I feel like the song on the album Torch is kind of like, to me, your way of making peace with that time.
Yeah.
Acknowledging I'll always be your tortured soul.
Yeah.
But it's okay, because I can acknowledge that with some space and some perspective.
Right. I mean, I also knew that song would help a lot of people. And this is what I was telling the kids at my listening event. You know, I put it on the album because the album is mostly positive. It's mostly uplifting. Yeah. Except for that one song. And I put it on the album for a reason. I just kind of wanted to leave a message for the ones that are still dealing with the struggle. You know, because though I'm at this place of peace, there are a lot of people that are not. So I don't want to leave them behind.
You're a really empathetic human, right? I mean, the way you've approached your music and how available you've made yourself, not just through the art and being on stage, but as Scott.
Yeah.
You feel deeply, right?
Yeah, I'm a very emotional creature, very sensitive. It's the Aquarian in me. That's how I make the music I make. You know, I put all my feelings into it. It's never a joke. It's never a character. This is very autobiographical. This is all real, you know, and I think the kids know that. I think that this album is a triumph, you know, because I've seen a lot of people saying like, yo, you sound like you can feel the happiness in the music, you know? You can feel the joy radiating, you know? Every note, every verse, you know?
Yeah.
There's no Kid Cudi album that sounds like this. Can you imagine? 11 albums. And I was able to still do something new.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? After all this time, and I've done a lot of shit. In the hip hop space too.
Yeah.
Something new in the hip hop space in 2024. Yeah. You know? It's like, it's a beautiful thing to be sitting here with you 15 years in, and we're at the very beginnings of a groundbreaking album just being released. It fucking blows my mind, man, because I listened to the album about 3 times the night before the album came out, right? Back to back, right? Just sat there smoking blunts, listening to the album. And I was like, man, if they don't like this shit, I don't know what the kids want. And this must be a sign that I gotta find something else to do. Be a librarian or something.
No.
But
no more retirement. No more retirement.
But I was saying, like, but that's like what I was thinking in the moment. I was like, because, you know, I was just in this place of just like, I'm giving it my all.
But isn't that the point? Isn't the point that you continue to satisfy yourself on your journey?
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's like I really definitely satisfied myself on this journey, but I wanted it to be great. You know, I wanted it to be well received. You know, I had those goals too, you know? And that's the thing, it's like, I had this English teacher named Mr. Hutch, right? In the 8th grade, advanced English I used to take. And his motto was always be the best, right? And I never understood that as a little nigga. Like I never like, you know, I would always kind of look at it like, man, I suck. So like, I don't, this be the best thing and it's not hitting me. I get bad grades, I don't feel it, right? And it wasn't until later on in my life when I became Kid Cudi, when I was like, oh, this is what Mr. Hutch was talking about. Being the best will having that in your mind, right, will propel you to other things to a level. Let's say you might not get the #1, but you'll still be propelled to the next level. And like, I've had that in my mind ever since 2009. I thought about Mr. Hutch, I was like, all right, be the best, it's gotta be my motto, right? And that's not charts, right?
It's not results driven. It's part of the process.
And also, no matter what the results are, I'm thoroughly happy with what I've made. I feel like I've given the best that I can give in this moment in time. And no matter what happens, it is what it is. That's how I felt about Speeding Bullet. Speeding Bullet wasn't commercially successful, but I was fucking thoroughly satisfied with that album. No matter what happened, I was like, yo, man, I produced a whole rock album, grunge rock album by myself. I played the guitar on every one of these songs, recorded this shit analog to tape. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I've only been playing the guitar for like, what, 5 years? What the fuck? Taught myself, I never had lessons, you know? Just started playing the shit. It was a major accomplishment for me. Same thing with Indica, how I produced that whole album myself. You know, that was me trying to prove to myself, like, no, man, you could do this. Like, you can do this. You're the source of all this shit. You can do this, you know? Because, you know, early on, you have so many people in your, helping you put together records, and you just like, think about it like, man, like, I have so many clear ideas that I have, just me, that I want to see through. And when you can clear out a room and just sitting there with your equipment, and it's just you and your engineer, and you just bang out 20 beats in a day, you know what I'm saying? It's like, there's something about that. Like, it's like, oh man, I felt like, I was like, ooh, this must be what Dr. Dre feels like. You know what I'm saying? Like, that motherfucker must be feeling like a fucking wizard when he be cooking up. Like, this is the shit. Like, Timberland must feel like this. Like, Swiss Beats, like, you know, like all these guys. And like, it was me, same thing that we always talked about being an artist. It was me challenging myself as an artist. Like, I've always made beats. I've always like fucked around with production here and there, but I've never looked at myself as a producer. And Indica was my way of being like, no, I want to be known as a producer, as somebody that can conjure up a whole fucking album and it can be a fucking smash, you know? And that album was important, right? Because it was my first album, my first rap album after Man on the Moon 2.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, Indica was the Insano of that time.
Yeah.
Because it was happy, upbeat, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of positive, upbeat songs.
And I've heard it get referenced in multiple conversations about you and your career with artists.
Yeah.
It keeps showing up.
Yeah, I mean, and I love that album because, you know, just like Speed and Build to Heaven is a true creative, it's my juice, like this, I touched that whole shit, you know? Every fucking song, you know? And I was talking to my daughter, cause she was telling me she loves Kendrick. And I was like, we were talking about Kendrick and I was like, hey, you know I got a song with Kendrick, right? And she's like, no. And I'm like, man, and I'm like, no, here's the link. I just sent it to her, like, yo, here's a song, man. And I was like, and I produced that too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like,
This is the motto of the story. This is the motto of the story. You can appeal to as many millions of people as you want, bro. At the end of the day, it's your daughter is the only opinion that matters.
Is the only one that matters.
You have to work 10 times as hard just to get her attention.
Yo, it was so, but I tell you what, after she heard that song, it was like a level of respect was raised. Like I got some brownie points, you know what I mean? It was
Thank
like,
you, Kendrick.
It was like, oh man, my dad got a song with Kendrick that he produced. Oh shit. Like I just got mad points for that.
Congratulations.
You know? Like all these years later.
You're ready for 40.
Yeah.
You're finally ready for 40.
You know what I'm saying? So I just, those small wins are perfect, you know? You know, I love that song came back all these years later and was a gift.
You gotta send one of these to Mr. Hutch.
Yes. Yes.
You know? Because we can't forget the people who inspire us at those crucial moments in time.
Yeah.
Man, we appreciate you inspiring us throughout and long may it continue. I'm just glad you're back.
Oh man. Man, I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being such a generous host and inviting us into this amazing house. Now I'll let you have your day.
Thanks for coming, brother.
Oh, this is a vibe, man. Oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, this is my little studio nook.
This is perfect. With the doors open? This is where you did the record?
Yeah, this is what I did in INSANO.
Shit.
And I did Man on Moon 3 in my last house.
Yeah, man. Let's make it priceless.
Hope you can read my handwriting.
I can. What a life. Love it.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming, man.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I always look forward to it.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I got a signed copy of this. Anyone wants it? I'm selling it $50. $50.
Oh, $50. Oh, man.